Modern Australia's reputation for danger is almost adorable compared to its prehistoric past. It was a place where 6-meter land crocs sprinted down their prey, venomous lizards the size of cars drained victims dry, and bone-crushing marsupial lions stalked every forest edge. If you think you could survive prehistoric Australia, consider this. Even waterholes and bird nests were arenas of lethal ambush. So what did survival even look like beneath jaws and claws that evolved over millions of years? Quincana turned the inland plains into a hunting ground as lethal as any riverbank. Unlike today's crocodiles, it did not wait in water for prey to wander close. Quincana was a 6-meter predator with xiphodont teeth, laterally compressed and serrated, built for slicing flesh rather than gripping or drowning. Its skull rose high above the ground, the snout deep and broad, hinting at a hunter designed for open country pursuit. Fossil jaws and teeth reveal a killer that moved with surprising speed on land, its Mekosuchine lineage suggesting pillar-like limbs and a more upright gait. Modern crocodiles can sprint in short bursts, but Quincana's build points to even more explosive chases. There was no shoreline safety. Once it locked onto a target, escape on foot was nearly impossible. Megalania, the giant monitor, brought a different terror. Imagine a Komodo dragon stretched to 6 meters, weighing over half a ton, armored in thick scales with jaws lined with serrated blades. But size was not its only weapon. Phylogenetic studies of modern varanids show complex venom glands, and evidence suggests Megalania shared this trait. Its bite delivered anticoagulants and hypotensive toxins, turning even a shallow wound into a fatal injury. Blood would not clot, blood pressure would plummet, and shock would set in fast. Megalania did not need to chase its prey far. One bite, and it could simply follow, waiting for the venom to do its work. In this world, a single scratch could mean collapse within minutes, the body's defenses overwhelmed by chemical sabotage. Then came Thylacoleo carnifex, the marsupial lion. Weighing around 100 kilograms, it was not a lion in form, but a specialist in destruction. Instead of long canines, it had bone-shearing premolars as sharp and thick as bolt cutters. Its skull was engineered for power, with deep jaws, reinforced arches, and a bite force calculated at 3,000 to 5,000 newtons, the highest pound for pound of any mammal measured. Thylacoleo's semi-retractable claws and muscular forelimbs suggest it hunted from above, dropping from trees onto passing prey. Once latched on, those teeth sliced through bone and tendon, dismantling victims with mechanical precision. For early humans, every tree and shadow became a potential ambush. Speed, venom, and raw bite force, each predator forced a different kind of fear, and survival demanded new tactics. On this ground, nowhere was safe. Geniornis towered over the grasslands, a bird built like a battering ram, over 2 meters tall and weighing 230 kilograms, with a skull shaped for crushing, not pecking. Unlike its modern relatives, Geniornis didn't flee at the first sign of trouble. It had no reason to. There were no natural predators that targeted adults, and its attitude matched its bulk, territorial, aggressive, and unflinching. The real risk came at the nest. Burnt eggshell fragments, scattered across ancient dunes and lake beds, tell a story of repeated human raids. These shells show sharp gradients from scorched to unburnt, exactly like eggs roasted on hot coals, not in wildfires. New research points to a giant megapode as the culprit for many of the burnt shells. Still, the threat stands. Collecting eggs from a 2-meter muscle-bound bird with a bone-crushing beak was less a quick meal and more a gamble with your life. Modern cassowaries can kill with a single kick, and Geniornis was 3 times heavier. Getting between this bird and its nest was an invitation to be trampled or gutted on the spot. Waterholes drew out a different kind of danger. Wonambi, the ancient constrictor, waited in silence. Up to 6 meters long, this snake belonged to a lineage older than modern pythons, a relic from a time when reptiles ruled the world. Wonambi didn't use venom. It relied on raw muscle, coiling around prey and squeezing until the heart simply stopped beating. The mechanics are brutal. a body as thick as a man's torso, muscles contracting with enough force to cut off blood flow in seconds. Modern pythons can induce unconsciousness in under a minute. Wonambi, scaled up, could do the same to an adult human or even larger prey. Every trip to the water's edge carried the risk of being ambushed by something you'd never see coming. Thirst was a vulnerability, and every living thing, herbivore, predator, or human, had to roll the dice for a drink. Diprotodon anchored the entire deadly ecosystem. 3 tons of wombat-shaped bulk, standing nearly as tall as a rhinoceros, moved in groups across the open country. These weren't solitary giants. Fossil sites preserve clusters of Diprotodon remains, adults and juveniles together, hinting at loose bands or family groups. As Ice Age Australia dried out, waterholes became magnets. Diprotodon herds returned season after season, their bones piling up in the same places over centuries. Where these giants gathered, every predator followed. Megalania stalked the shadows, Thylacoleo watched from the trees, and Quincana haunted the trails. The predictable movements of Diprotodon created natural choke points, prey hubs where the odds of survival dropped for everything, humans included. To hunt Diprotodon meant stepping into the middle of a carnivore convention, surrounded by creatures that saw you as just another meal. In this world, the biggest herbivore didn't just feed the killers, it summoned them. 50,000 years ago, survival in Australia demanded more than sharp eyes and fast feet. Early humans brought something the predators hadn't evolved to counter: strategy. Alone, a person stood no chance against a 6-meter lizard or a marsupial lion in the trees. But in groups, with sharpened spears of stone and wood, the odds started to shift. Cooperative hunting let small bands take on prey many times their size, driving Diprotodon away from the water's edge, flanking giant kangaroos, and defending each other against ambush from above or a land-stalking crocodile. But it wasn't just weapons. Fire became the ultimate tool. Controlled burning, called fire stick farming, let humans remake the landscape itself. By setting low, patchy fires, they cleared dense brush, forced animals into open ground, and created a patchwork of fresh growth that lured herbivores into predictable zones. The predators lost their cover. Every time the grass regrew, prey returned, and so did the hunters. Over generations, this burning didn't just flush out game, it transformed entire ecosystems. Forests gave way to fire-tolerant scrub and grassland, shrinking the habitat for giants like Diprotodon and the killers that depended on them. This wasn't a single event. Within 20,000 years of human arrival, nearly every species of megafauna over 100 pounds vanished. As the prey base collapsed, apex predators, Megalania, Thylacoleo, Quincana, starved out. The tools were simple: group tactics, spears, and fire. The effect was total. What had been a continent ruled by monsters turned into a survivor's landscape, reshaped by the only animal willing to burn the old order to the ground. Charred eggshell fragments, sediment cores, and fossil bones have all been pressed into service as evidence in the extinction debate, but the ground beneath these conclusions keeps shifting. For decades, a fossilized tibia from Mammoth Cave was held up as the definitive proof. Deep incisions, interpreted as tool marks, seemed to show that early Australians hunted megafauna directly. In 2025, that certainty collapsed. New analysis revealed those marks were likely made much later by people collecting ancient bones rather than butchering fresh kills. The so-called smoking gun for human-driven extinction was, in reality, a relic of curiosity, not carnage. Other lines of evidence are more circumstantial but harder to dismiss. At Lynch's crater in Queensland, sediment cores reveal a sudden drop in Sporormiella spores, fungal traces linked to large herbivore dung, followed by a dramatic spike in charcoal. The timing is precise. Fire activity ramped up only after the megafauna vanished, suggesting that burning was a response to, not the cause of, their disappearance. Yet the overlap is tight. Optically stimulated luminescence and uranium and thorium dating repeatedly cluster megafauna extinction within a few thousand years of human arrival. The correlation is haunting, but correlation is not causation. Paleontologists now tread carefully, weighing each new find against a growing sense of uncertainty. The mammoth cave bone is no longer a verdict, just a data point. The fire record at Lynch's crater hints at ecosystem transformation, but the chain of events remains tangled. What's left is a forensic puzzle, a continent emptied of giants, a scatter of clues, and a debate that refuses to die. Science, in this case, offers no easy villain, only a timeline of vanishing and a landscape forever changed. Modern Australia's dangers are just the echoes of an ecosystem humans once remade through fire and risk. Today, extinction and transformation still follow our footprints. The real question is not whether you could survive the past. It is what kind of future you are shaping now. Leave your thoughts below.